Daly. Thanks, Ceann Corla. Minister, I think it's a little bit ironic that we have a special session here today to move amendments that you want to bring forward, and that deputies were getting phone calls this morning being told that the amendments we'd submitted were not relevant to this bill, which I would have to say shows me that this is, as Deputy Tobin has said, a bit of a ham-fisted approach to what is supposed to be the most comprehensive review of the industrial relations machinery of the state. And I don't particularly have a huge problem with the amendments that you're moving forward here today, but we do have to make the point that it has to be seen in the context of other very serious issues which are not incorporating into the bill, and I think that point has to be registered, because we're talking about the very key area of workers' rights. Having rights is one thing, but then having the ability and the mechanism to be able to exercise those rights is an entirely different matter. And the first thing that somebody needs to do to vindicate their rights is to be able to have access to the industrial relations machinery of the state. And it is the case that there are a key group of workers who are being excluded from this and who this bill is not accommodating when it should. And that is the group referred to by Deputy Healy as in those pensioners, people who have left employment with their employer but still have a very live link with that employment because of their retirement or their income in retirement being affected. And up to now, we've had a situation where the industrial relations machinery of the state the door is shut to those people. Now, the Minister for Jobs and the Minister for Social Protection have both acknowledged that this system needs to be addressed, that it is an anomaly. And it's just not good enough that we have at the moment thousands of people who are currently in receipt of a pension who at the start of January will be experiencing a dramatic cut in their pension entitlements, and I am talking about the aviation pensioners, for whom the trustees have put forward a proposal that will see them lose 6 weeks of their income starting from January, and that they had no say in that process. The process that decided upon that went through the industrial relations machinery of the state and involved active members of that pension scheme, but neither the current pensioners nor the deferred groups had a voice in that. And I put it to the Minister that that is absolutely reprehensible, because the people who had a vote on the pension entitlements of others, some of those were not even members of the pension scheme, in that the vote organised by some of the unions in Aer Lingus involved people who were members of Aer Lingus Ireland, whose employees actually are not members of the IASS pension scheme. So, if you like, it's a double kick. People who were not even involved in that scheme decided on the living condition of pensioners, and pensioners themselves didn't have a voice. That's obviously one group. The other group are the group of deferred pensioners, those currently not yet in receipt of a pension but no longer employed by their employer. Now, these issues have to be addressed, and it just beggars belief that we're saying a workplace relations bill is not an appropriate forum, that amendments that we put forward are not relevant to that bill because it sought to give pensioners as individuals and pensioners as a collective group a voice in that process. It's an absolute joke. Now, obviously, we'll be dealing with this much more comprehensively in relation to the Social Welfare and Pensions Bill in terms of the actual cuts that are being proposed on those pensioners, and hopefully we'll get a resolution there. But the bigger picture still has to be addressed. People who were in employment, whose employment ends, have a live link with their pension scheme. It has to be incorporated into this bill, or else this is a workplace relations bill and workers' rights for some workers and not for other workers.